Hi, welcome to More Pizza. You know, the other day I read an article about the Australian continent, just how many thousands and thousands of kilometres it has. And I thought, well really I haven't seen very much of that at all, and probably you haven't either. And that got me thinking, why don't I take my camera, get in my car and do a little bit of discovering? And that's exactly what I did. Come and take a look.
I decided to check out the Victorian coast and journeyed to the east of the state through the undulating farmland of Gippsland before turning southward to the coastline. My first sighting of the coast was from the lookout at Jemmy's Point, about 320 kilometres from Melbourne. It offers superb views of the Gippsland lakes and their entrance to the sea. The lookout overlooks the town of Lakes Entrance, just a 3.5-hour drive from the suburbs of Melbourne. Its temperate climate makes it a year-round favourite for tourists, who in midsummer more than double the town's population of just over 5,000. It's a popular choice for retirees and those looking for that sea change. Lakes Entrance is also the state's busiest commercial fishing port. Despite the fact that the fleet fishes all year round, there's always a number of boats moored along the town's foreshore and its numerous jetties, allowing you to get a first-hand look at what fishing vessels are all about. And if your luck is good, you may have the occasional chance to buy fresh fish straight from the boat. And there's plenty to do, plenty of those get away from it holiday type of things to do, and all in fresh sea air. But let me tell you, boats are in. They're everywhere. You have to have a boat. Any old boat will do. And if you haven't got a boat, you can hire a boat, or you can just sit back and enjoy it. Lakes Entrance was an established fishing port back in the early days of the last century, but there was a problem. Unless you had a boat or were a good swimmer, you had no way of seeing what was on the other side of those distant sand dunes. As a result, they built a bridge, about 270 metres of it, 270 metres long and 1.2 metres wide. In 1967, the footbridge was widened to 1.5 metres, and that's the version we see today. The bridge is now an integral part of the town, and you could confidently say that 99% of all visitors to Lakes Entrance walk its length. Walking across the bridge, you can't help but imagine the excitement of the townsfolk back then. Everybody flocking across the bridge, all eager to explore the landscape and what lay beyond. And just what did they find? A beach stretching as far as the eye can see. Waves rolling in onto an undulating landscape of seemingly endless sand. It's a beach that provides great year-round fishing and is patrolled by surf lifesavers during the summer months, ensuring safe swimming and surfing. You can walk for miles and miles along this beach, 90 miles in fact, over 140 kilometres. But there is, however, one interruption to the golden ribbon of sand, and it's man-made. The entrance, and this is how you get there. It's a walk of about 2.5 kilometres along a sandy track through quite thick vegetation, with the ocean on one side and the lake on the other. That's a spiny anteater out for a walk. Rather meet him than a snake. This is the actual entrance, the point where the Gippsland lakes enter the Southern Ocean, where massive volumes of water clash. Southerly winds sweep in from across the ocean, pushing waves onto the sea walls, keeping the air filled with a salty spray. Tides rush past such that you can't help but respect the power of the sea. It's definitely no place for a swim. A little out to sea, swirling currents meet in a cauldron of boiling water. It's amazing to think how they must have built this, but it was finally completed in 1889 after having begun 20 years earlier. All, however, didn't go to plan. Those waves out there are actually breaking over a sandbar. The creation of a man-made channel resulted in huge amounts of sand being dumped continually at the entrance. It's a site where lives have been lost and where trawlers often run aground. In response, the government has a permanent vessel operating that clears about 300,000 cubic metres of sand each year. Here the sand is being removed from the lake bed. It's pumped to a point about 500 metres away on the ocean beach. It's an ongoing process necessary to make the more than 13,000 crossings of the entrance each year as safe as possible. Commercial fishing began here in 1878, and today more than 70 fishing boats operate from Lake's entrance, making it Victoria's largest commercial fishing port. The industry employs over 500 people and supports a large number of local businesses. When the fish are biting, it's all hands on deck. These mackerel, caught 15 kilometres offshore, will be processed in Lake's entrance before being transported to the markets of Melbourne and Sydney. The 50-tonne catch is typical of the 6,000 tonnes of fish that are caught each year, an annual contribution to the economy of $200 million. Where there's plenty of water, you're sure to find plenty of birds. Birds sitting around, standing around, scratching around, fossicking around, catching that early morning breakfast, battling for that early morning breakfast. Sorry, buddy. Little guys watching big guys. Or just playing around. I'm not quite sure what this little guy's doing, but he sure seems to be enjoying it. Yeah, it's great to be a bird. Time to take a look at the Gippsland lakes. Without doubt, the best way to check them out is to take a guided tour. Let's go. The Gippsland lakes are Australia's largest inland waterway, covering over 340 square kilometres in area, with a shoreline of 320 kilometres. They are one of Australia's most popular recreational centres, providing a holiday playground and lifestyle in a natural environment. And it's not hard to see why. The sheltered bays and lagoons and vast open waters of the lakes allow you to do any type of fun thing, boating, fishing, sailing, etc., or just exploring their natural beauty. Environment protection laws ensure that the waterways remain in their natural state, with boating, camping, fishing and water skiing all being regulated. The waterway provides a habitat for over 40,000 water birds and a home to over 140 species of local and migratory birds. 5 rivers flow into the lakes from the nearby Great Dividing Range. The most unique of these rivers is the Mitchell. For centuries, it has meandered over the flat coastal plain, eroding anything in its path with spectacular effect. Silt jetties have been built up at the river's mouth that now extend 8 kilometres into the lake. The world-renowned silt jetties are the second largest in the world, second only to those of the Mississippi. It's amazing to think that this land I'm driving on is just silt. Roadways and farmland all built on river silt. And yes, that's a jellyfish, 8 kilometres upstream from the mouth of the river, a species of marine life that entered the lake's system when they were permanently open to the sea. An abundance of fish led to the development of a number of villages on the lakes. These days, it's tourism and simply retirement living that are the town's main attractions. The old steamers that once plied the lakes are long gone. Now you could almost say it's boating, boating and more boating. But these kids say it best. It's all about fun and enjoyment in harmony with the natural beauty that is this part of the Victorian coast.
Well, that's it, folks. We've been there and done that. But join me next time when I journey westward and explore the southeast part of the Victorian coastline.